Woo! This is Roy back again. Hello, my fellow YouTubers. Bam! Look at that puppy. Beautiful. Elias Scallon's replica. Thing is a monster. Look at those cylinder walls right there. Yep, that's right. We're going to mess with the cylinder walls on one of my videos. Look at that block. And we're going to drive the sucker through the cylinder walls. Alrighty, today's video we're going to work on building a 555 timer circuit. I'm going to show you how to build it and what goodies we can do with it. We're going to hook it up today to a speaker. We're going to listen to pulses and change the pulses, okay? We'll start off with some of the stuff that I have up here, and we'll just do a little brief summary on some of the videos we'll be making. In the future, let's start off over here. I got my capacitors, saltwater capacitors, Tesla coil. We have over here we got flyback transformers with some extra wrappings on there. I got just a regular good flyback transformer. We'll talk about the pins. We got this double coil with a screw top on for a light bulb. I took one of the big light bulbs apart and we're going to crash atoms in together and show you what happens when you do. Got a neon transformer here, not neon, for a fluorescent bulb. Got some capacitors here. For all you first timers just start and get into this, capacitors could be dangerous because they store energy and they don't release it until you release it. So put a alligator clip on one end, real carefully touch the other end, you'll get a spark. It discharges the capacitor. This is a coil from a 72 Chevy Malibu. This is a transformer here from a Mott, from a microwave. This is an induction fan, regular transformer. This is one of my car motors with a magnet sitting. You can see it on there. One of my first things I started working on 2 years ago. This is one of my old Elias Scallon books I got back in the 80s that somebody had given to me. Shout out to Ralph Lopez. This right here is hooked up to my solar panel on the roof. So this is solar panel energy coming in this box here. I got plus hooked up to one side, and I got a negative on the other side and a negative on where the ground is. So we're going to crash some atoms in together using solar through this mechanism here. One more thing I want to talk about over here. These are welding rods, and we're going to talk about one of the videos are going to be connecting every other one of these together, and what we're going to do is create a inorganic shell, and organic attracts, inorganic attracts but also repels. So once we start building layers around this, positive energy is going to go to one leg and then negative the other, then positive, negative, and we're going to be able to suck power out of this just through the doing layers of foil and wood. As long as we got this grid on the inside, it'll be our collector, and we'll do a video on that. That should be pretty interesting. Right now I want to talk about this circuit board. I got this at Radio Shack 4 months ago. Came with 2 nice books, and it teaches you how to do 200 different circuits. I suggest everybody starting out get one of these. You'll like it. It really explains a lot, and it sets you off with a good base. Over here you got variable resistors, on and off switch, breadboard with different volts going across the top. You got a horn over here, speaker over there, little transformer in there, voltmeter, lights up top, numbers over here to your left. So let's go ahead and start off. This right here is a 555 timer chip. It's got 8 pins on it. We're going to go ahead and insert that here on the breadboard. You notice there's a little dot on the top side of it, if you can see it. Don't worry about my char marks. I go through these breadboards, burn them up. We're going to go ahead and set up this timer chip. And we're going to plug it in. Let me get my big hands. Some of this stuff is so tiny. It's hard to get it to want to go in. This one's going in. Bam. So we got this one set. One thing about these breadboards, you can get them at Radio Shack. $10. There's one in the package still, because I keep this is my third one I'm working on. Alright, so we're going to go to this timer chip. It's got 8 pins on it. And pretty much we're going to start off with pin number 1, your top left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Work around that. We're going to get a jumper cable over here. And we're going to go to pin 1. We're going to stick it in. And then we'll go over to ground here. And pin 1 is ground. One thing about the breadboard, so you guys know, this rail between the blue and the red is a leg, a feed leg. This rail here all the way is a feed leg. This whole section in between the notches here is a whole feed by itself. Everything works horizontally, left to right. So if you plug in something over here, this will be all connected. This does not connect all the way through. This way you can have 2 circuits running over here. So whatever you put on this side will not come to this side. But everything does work left to right. So back to the timer circuit. So pin number 1 goes to ground. And then we're going to go ahead and take another one of these white ones, and we're going to go from pin number 8 to positive. So on this chip here, your positives is your top right, number 8. Your ground is your top left, number 1. Then we're going to take another jumper. We're going to go ahead and go from pin number 2. Okay, and we're going to stick that to pin 6. So we're jumping pin 2 and pin 6 together. And pretty much 2 is your trigger and 6 is your threshold. And that will, threshold meaning it'll only take so much voltage before it blows the damn circuit out. So your next one we're going to go to is pin number 3. And that's going to be the output of the circuit. So we're going into 3. Then we're going to go ahead and stick that over here off to the side. And I'll show you why we're going to stick it to the side, because that's going to be output of the chip. So pin number 4 here is a reset button. So pretty much every time it triggers itself to have a pulse, it needs to be recharged, reset. So we're going to connect that over to the positive. So pin number 4 to positive. Now pin number 5 over here, we're going to leave empty. That's a control voltage. And we don't want to control any voltage right now, but in the future, if you want to control voltage, we'll talk about that one. Pin number 6, we jumped over from 2. So pretty much 6 is the threshold. And now we're going to go ahead and go over to pin 7. Because what we're going to do is we're going to connect a 10K resistor. And what we're going to do is put it in on number 2. And what we're going to do is put it in on pin 7. Okay? Then we have a 100K, and we're going to go from pin 7 to positive. So pretty much you got your resistor going from positive to 7. 7 is your discharge. Then you got from 7 to 2. And now we're going to go ahead and throw one of these bigger capacitors in. Let me get it straightened out a little bit here. Now remember, on these little capacitors here, the longer leg you see is the positive and the shorter leg is the negative. So here we're going to go from pin 2 and we're going to connect it to the ground. Bam. So make sure it's all plugged in. Not looking too great as far as a plug-in. These things are all bent up. I've been using them a lot. So we're going there, and we're going there. And pretty much this is your 555 circuit. So let's go back over it. So pin number 1 is your ground. Pin number 2 is your trigger, and that's jumped over to pin number 6 is your threshold. Pin number 3 is your output, bam. And then pin number 4 is your reset, that goes to positive. Pin number 5 is your control voltage, we'll leave that empty. Pin number 6, remember when I jumped over to pin number 2. Pin number 7 is connecting the 2 resistors together from the positive to the negative. And then pin number 8 is your positive into your circuit here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hook up our transistor. And pretty much on our transistor, you have on your left hand side, we're going to come out off the output of the circuit, and we're going to connect the left leg. Okay? And then we're also going to connect your right leg, and that's going to go to ground. So the right leg comes up, goes right to ground. Okay? And then your bottom section there is pretty much your collector, and your collector is going to come out and go by itself over here. And what we did was we connected from the collector going out right here, we go over to our speaker. Then the other part of the speaker goes right to the positive. Let's go ahead. On this leg I got the negative, this positive leg over here, and we're going to connect 12-volt battery. Okay, so here we are, we're hooked up to a speaker, and you can hear the pulses that are coming out of the speaker, right? So what we created was a 555 CN timer chip to be a circuit, and it's pulsating. Now if you want to change pulsations, let's take the power off real quick. Look at this capacitor. Now let's check out some things I'm going to show you guys. That's a bigger capacitor than this little guy. Make sure the long leg is going to pin number 2. Short leg is going to the ground. And now we're going to connect it up to the positive, and let's listen. Okay. So now we just proved that the size of the capacitor also is the timer. So every time that capacitor is getting filled, discharged, you hear that beep, right? Okay, you guys got that? So now we're going to unplug the power, and what we're going to do now is we're going to pull out a resistor, because we're going to check now if we went down in size and resistance. Let's see what happens here. Give me a resistor around here. I got some stuff laying around. Let's see what the difference is with this resistor. So now we're going to go back from pin number 7 to positive, and that's going to slow down going into the circuit, right? Because that would be the plus side. Let's see what happens. Connect it. So we slowed it down so much that it went from hitting hard pulses to barely hitting pulses. You heard that very subtle. Let's go up in the capacitor now and see what changes we have here. See, just screaming. So we're going to go back, pull the small capacitor out. Let's put this 100K in. Go back to the positive, and we're going to set it up. So now we got a nice quick pulse going. You could hear that pulse. And that's pretty much your timer, okay? So, taught you guys about your 555. I wanted to talk about this one I just put up here. We're not going to work on that right now, but that one there, it's pretty special. That's your 556 CN. And pretty much one whole side is one of these chips, and the other side is another one of these chips. So basically there you create 2 circuits, and you're pulsing each leg of an input that way. And wow, what a big difference. And we'll, if you see my video beforehand, the couple that I put out with that coil,